can understand Nigerian languages. I think it said they want to kick off with 5 indigenous languages, so maybe Hausa, Yoruba, Igbo, and then 2 other languages. So if we are able to build indigenous large language models that would put Nigeria into context, to tell our stories, have have this context, this would be a very good step, and that will push us forward, because that's one thing that's been lacking. We have been more of consumers of generative AI tools. So it would be good to see that we can now start creating projects of our own. And also, I was also reading some weeks back about MTN and Airtel also building building their data centers and providing GPUs. So if this is, although we have there's still a long way to go before they will be able to compete with established data centers like Amazon Web Services, Google Cloud Platforms, and so. But I believe that setting up this infrastructure is a step in the right direction, and with right partnership from the government and access to funds and support, we are beginning to let's say take a good step into the stage, and then compete with other countries or collaborate with other countries to boost our the AI space for Nigeria.
Right. Now, speaking of the generative rave, we understand that Nigeria is, you've called it, we are a consuming nation, but we are on the lead when it has to do with things that we can create with ChatGPT, Gemini, VO3, and all of these AI tools. Looking at the generative rave, they've been concerned because Nigerians right now can even look at you or someone Nitwe and create something about you talking, and meanwhile it's not you that is actually talking. At this point in time where the world is going global, should we be talking also about the AI policing structure? Probably we should initiate a particular security structure to be able to eradicate some of this abuse within the AI space.
Yes, that's actually a very good point, because it will be an incomplete decision to talk about the advantages or the growth of AI without exploring or highlighting its potential misuse. So it's very important to, and that's why, for instance, when I started, I was talking about the Nigerian Data Protection Commission. So that's a very good body that can set up that can set up the policing of this AI adoption. So when you talk about abuse, breaching of data or private data, like you said, and then also using it for fraudulent activities, misusing AI for fraudulent activities, and sometimes not just even misusing. There's intentional misuse by fraudsters, but beyond that intentional misuse, sometimes because even professionals can build overconfident systems that have not been vetted through and that have not passed some of the basic checks, and they can be catastrophic if integrated into businesses. So it's very important that professionals are held to high standards, so that whatever products or whatever AI solutions we are building are able to overcome common AI challenges. For instance, hallucination. So you see, hallucination basically is a scenario where generative AI generates content that is false but with high confidence. So it's like saying, who is the president of Nigeria, and ChatGPT tells you it's let's say David Mark or someone. You understand? Like, that's very wrong, but it tells you with confidence. So, and now imagine building a solution like this and integrating it into a decision-making pipeline. So you see that if you don't have checks for this, you are going to build something very catastrophic. So it's very important that there is a police, or I would say a healthy policing, because on the other side, there needs to be balance. There needs to be balance so that you can encourage adoption and also development of AI, while also enforcing that there's ethical use. So because this will help to safeguard and then also eliminate some of these mishaps. We have cases. I think there was a project or a story, an article I was reading some times back that spoke about a British lawyer who prepared a case, a legal case with ChatGPT, and went to court, presented strong arguments, but the problem was most of these arguments were not true. So so you see scenarios like that. So and it put him in trouble. So if although these tools are very powerful, it's very important to first of all, have professionals that are well equipped to understand the limitations, not just limitations, understand also how, where they are relevant, where to use them, and also how to mitigate these limitations. So yes, so that would be a collaborative effort between like a regulatory body like the Data Protection Council, and then also other sensitization, and also maybe like, well, I would say yes, some kind of way to review products that will be integrated into public systems, or even serious business solutions, so that we are able to say, okay, these systems are safe.
Well, Nitwe, to a very large extent, the Nigerian universities are also feeling the brunt of artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
A lot of students right now are even afraid to read. Give them term papers. They will go to ChatGPT and other platforms to generate a term paper, a book review, and you see almost a chorus and almost the same answers coming from that angle. At this point in time, looking at the federal government's AI policy, should we even be talking as a people of AI, a policy of initiating AI, introduction of AI, or even try to implement AI within our system right now, knowing fully well that a lot of Nigerians, it will push us to that direction of being a bit lazy academically? Should we be talking about AI at this point?
Yes, so that's a good angle, or like, I say, a challenging.
Most people don't read again, so you just
exactly.
put it on ChatGPT and you see what you want.
How I like to look at it is, first we need to have the right definition for what AI is, or even when we are looking at problems, we try to see, okay, what the actual root cause is. So AI is a powerful tool, and just like any powerful tool, it can be misused. So the issue with respect to students misusing AI, or fraudsters misusing AI, or or employees misusing AI, it's an amplification of existing problems, right? So students who are not serious with the academics, or who are not who don't take time to study, when they find AI, rather than copying the assignments, rather than copying research and all these things, these are practices that have been existing before ChatGPT, right? So, but now we have a tool that helps them to do it better. So, how do you combat issues like this? I like to say, in order to combat AI effectively, you have to use AI, right? So, lecturers will need to find innovative ways to combat these challenges. So, if students are using AI, you also try to use AI. There needs to be the solutions that detect AI, poor use of AI, and not necessarily, like, it's not necessarily in such a way, in a very basic way that says, okay, if this article is written by AI, no. But I believe if even it calls for an improvement in the way questions are set, right? Even when you look at interviews, for instance, now when we look at the workforce, you see that even developers these days, initially when you're trying to interview for jobs at Google, Facebook, you have this coding interview test where you are given a problem and you're asked to solve it. But now AI can generate these solutions in splits of seconds, and then people are able to candidates are able to pass through. So, but what is the solution? You see that these companies gradually are changing the way in which they interview. So rather than giving you a problem to say, okay, use a binary tree to find this, use a binary tree to use a linked list to do this, they have made the problem more complex, and you are now allowed to even use AI as a collaborator. But now the test has now been intensified to check how you assess and solve problems. So why am I bringing this? Because for students, right, this is a call for lecturers to also evolve in the way questions are set. Understanding, when you understand that students have access to AI tools, because even if you use tools that detect AI, there are a lot of tools coming up that still try to find a way to bypass this detection. So how do you still put students to stimulate their minds and learn, even when you have very powerful tools as this? I believe that the way forward would be to evolve in how questions are set, and then also looking forward. So for instance, you see, for instance, when you look at the idea, and like when I say combating AI with AI, for instance, when you look at the idea of fraudulent activities, all these deepfakes, images can be doctored, videos can be doctored, but how has that been combated? You have two AI tools. Google is working on an AI tool, and then I think Stability Fusion also is coming up with an AI tool that that can detect AI generated videos, AI generated pictures, and this is still AI. You understand? So the way to combat AI will also be to use AI to detect them. So I would say lecturers, because AI is not going anywhere. Like AI has come to stay. Adoption, in fact, as a matter of fact, it's either you adopt or you're left behind, because it's people who are adopting are moving fast. Like in fact, the AI tools that are being developed every day is moving at the space that is too fast. It's too fast for even the users to be able to catch up with. So when it comes to issues like this, we can't put a ban on AI tools in school. It will be difficult to even implement that. So the way forward would be to improve and evolve in the way students are assessed, so that even when you use AI tools, we are still able to test and stimulate the reasoning and assess the students' ability to be able to like build solutions. Because the idea at the end of the day is to be able to be creative, build solutions, and also solve problems. So build using AI with the involvement, I believe lecturers should begin to find creative ways to go further.
All right, we've been confronted right now as a people, a situation where a lot of Nigerian history is being retold by the artificial intelligence. We don't have much of Nigerian languages even captured in the various AIs that we see. Yeah. With such innovation, I beg your pardon, can we say at this point that AI is gradually phasing our traditions, the culture, and the beliefs that we've had so far into extinction?
So I'll put it this way. Let me try and rephrase it. I'd rather say our the slow rate at which we are adopting or joining the competition or joining the rest of the world in adopting AI is phasing out our culture. And this is why, because if you use a Chinese powered AI tool like Queens or Kemi or DeepSeek now, and you try to query that on Chinese data, you see that it has a lot of it's very insightful. It has a lot of resources and can tell you a lot about China and Chinese culture and things like that. So when you use ChatGPT, when you use Gemini, US-based tools, you see that these tools are working and are able to also are able to respond to this issue. So for Nigeria, first of all, when you look at even in language indexing, you see that I think Google some years back had a project that was trying to index indigenous languages in Nigeria, trying to profile them and index them. So efforts to even index Nigerian languages, it's not so much a project that is of concern to Nigeria as it should be. So you see foreign bodies being prioritizing that. So if we want to tell our stories, if we want to have AI solutions that will be Nigeria first, then we need to invest in capturing, first of all, capturing Nigerian data, being able to index this, because if you don't have this data, if you don't tell these stories, who will tell them for us? So if you are building AI solutions, and that's why I'm saying this recent innovation or announcements about building an indigenous language is a step in the right direction, because if we want to build solutions or want a scenario whereby AI doesn't forget about the Nigerian culture or misrepresents the Nigerian culture, then we have to proactively first provide training data and also build solutions that are good enough to integrate this information and also tell them. So this is a call for the government, for private bodies to take data collection, data gathering, annotation, and also like model training seriously.
All right, just before I let you go, yes, a lot of Nigerians right now are skeptical. As a matter of fact, they're afraid that with the introduction of AI, they're going to lose their job. Do you want to quickly react to this? Should we be afraid of losing more jobs with the introduction of AI? Or will the AI provide more job opportunities for the timid Nigerian youths?
I'll bluntly say it will do both. Some jobs will be phased out, and some jobs will be created.
So are we losing jobs, or are we getting more jobs? Are we losing more jobs?
We'll get. I believe that we'll get more opportunities. Right?
Not the jobs.
We'll get more jobs.
Okay.
Yes, job opportunities. So
a lot of people will be fired.
Yes. So
Okay.
yes. So a lot of entry levels, like, and some of these administrative roles might be disrupted. I would like to use disruption, right? So the job space will be disrupted in the sense that even existing jobs, not all jobs will be phased out, but most jobs, the routine operations in most jobs will change, even including development, software development. How you go about, like what's the typical roles or tasks that you carry out in your role will change because of AI, but it will also create new roles. So if you look at, for instance, the internet, before the internet, things like job descriptions like streamer, YouTuber, social content creator, they didn't exist. When you look at social media marketer, digital marketer, all these roles didn't exist. So the coming of the internet has affected some of the traditional rules, like for instance how people ingested news in the past versus now. You can't debate the fact that it's changed how news, and then also media houses had to adopt. So, but it didn't phase them out, right? So, and I'm just bringing that because it will be false to say AI is not going to disrupt the job market. It will disrupt job market. So some roles will be phased out, some roles will transition, and also many opportunities will be created. So rather than being scared about so many roles that will be phased out, it's very important to see how your current role will transition. So how can you use, as a developer, for instance, I no longer need to be writing so heavy code. I might focus more on like reviewing code bases and ensuring that there's logical flow and everything like that, because AI now writes code. AI builds applications now. So even for developers, AI is transforming how our day-to-day roles or tasks are being carried out. So AI is going to disrupting the job space. It's going to transition a lot of roles, but it also comes with a lot of opportunities. You have things like the prompt engineer. If even now, as a content creator, you can create Hollywood style kind of videos or movies if you have very good use of AI solutions, which is cutting down cost by so much more. So even when we look at the disruptions and the fact that, okay, maybe you no longer need to do certain things, or maybe on all this, there's a lot of we can look at, instead of panicking, we can look at the so many opportunities that are coming because of AI, because it's bringing a lot of opportunities and bringing solutions to even the
yes. That opportunities we will definitely talk about, because we'll definitely bring you back to talk about the AI and its solution that it provides for Nigeria. But I want to say thank you so much for finding out time to be with us here in the studio.
And thank you for having me too.
Well, we'll go for this short break, and when we come back, we'll talk more even here on Korero. Please stay with us.
Hello, Rapid TV. My name is Kunle Remy.
Hello, Rapid TV. My name is William Suchemba.
My name is Choma Chukwuka.
Hello, Rapid TV. My name is Stan Nze.
Hello, Rapid TV. My name is Vivian Glam Gabriel.
Hello, Rapid TV. My name is Jide Kene.
Hi, Rapid TV. My name is Steve Chooks.
Best Afrobeat song will go to The Bunch and Snoop Dogg, Oliver Twist.
Piece of my heart, Wizkid.
Right now, we'll probably be grateful by Fino.
My favorite Afrobeat song is Afrobeat.
I can't. There's so much. It has to be one of our Rasta songs.
I love a lot of them. I don't think I have a favorite Afrobeat song right now. I cannot pick.
I can't Popo.
Living in Bondage.
It has to be between Blood Sisters and Lion Hearts.
I don't have favorite anything. I have favorite food. I have favorite colors. I barely have favorite any other thing.
Oh my God.
Welcome back. Well, The issues around the FCT and politics has been a very crucial issue to handle. First, it is tied around the fact that who should contest in elections within the Federal Capital Territory. But the root cause of some of those conversations borders on who even owns the FCT. What are the issues? And also, how does this affect the choices that people have to even make within the FCT, and who goes into political space and who does not? Well, joining me to help us talk about the FCT politics is Honorable Adoga Godwin. You're welcome to Korero.
Thank you so much. Really great pleasure to be here.
All right, so let's look at the generality of the politics in and around the Federal Capital Territory. When we look at it, on one hand, it tends to be a politics for the indigenous people of the Federal Capital Territory. But then you have been in the Federal Capital Territory for a very long while, and you understand the politics. Bring us up to speed. What is the nature of the politics within the FCT?
All right, so I'd like to start by bringing us back, to how the FCT was created in the first place. To get the FCT as a territory, right, some states had to be carved. For instance, a huge chunk of Kogi State, the old Kogi State had to be cut off. And that's why you have places like Abaji, today within the FCT. Some parts of Niger State was cut off. Some parts of Plateau State was cut off, right? So the territory itself belongs to a group of, ethnicities. However, because it is a metropolitan area, because it is a melting pot of basically quite a number of interests and a number of people, it is difficult to say specifically, how ethnicity should actually play a role. The main reason why it begins to seem as if, political agency is relegated to a group of individuals is because of voter apathy. And I would like to go further by saying that in Abuja, FCT, if you like, political agency is disproportionately domiciled within only 2 tiers of government. Unlike in other states where we have, the middle tier, which is the state government, FCT does not have that, particular structure. So what we end up having is the legislative arm, which is at the federal level, the red and the green chambers. And then we just skip the middle, and then we'll come straight down to the area councils. In other states, it's called the local government. In FCT, we call it the area council. There are 6 of them. Now, people focus more, people pay more attention to the highest level of political participation. That's the reason why you find out that whenever it's a general election to elect a president or a senator, there's quite a lot of turnout, right? But whenever it comes to the local elections, to elect a local government chairman or councillors, people simply do not care. For instance, the current, area council chairmen were elected by less than 5% of the population of their area councils. And that tells you that it begins to seem like an ethnic group is actually in control, or they are actually supposed to be represented, because other people simply do not care. If people actually voted the same way they voted in general elections, this question wouldn't have been a question. Would have had several different types of ethnicities, holding positions at the area council level all the way back, so maybe 2003, But that needs to change at this point, because we're actually seeing an influx, of different demographics and population in Abuja. For instance, in 2025, we have a first generation of Abuja citizens that are now of voting age. That is, people who are old enough to vote that were born in Abuja. That wasn't so in the early 2000s. People were just moving into Abuja. But now there are people who are born here who do not remember where their fathers came from, and that is happening currently.
Interesting conversation. Let's travel a bit to a few area council. Well, we'll begin with AMAC and looking at the politics that is playing out within that area council. When we look at the whole structure of AMAC, a lot of people say that currently people from the Gbagi extractions are being relegated to the back door of inconsequential because the likes of Yesom Wike is the FCT minister, and as such, he has a particular interest. And of course, Mekalangu is also loyal to Yesom Wike, and as such, we've seen a lot of politics play out that trends to discriminate against people. When you look at it in general, is this a discriminatory policy or a policy or a government of development?
Well, you see, the conversation about discrimination has been ongoing for a very long time. This isn't the first year, or the first 10 years we've been hearing about discrimination. But what I would say, specifically because we're talking about politics, is that, in politics, negotiation is done, especially when you don't have numbers. The real issue, facing the original inhabitants are facing is that they do not have the requisite amount of population to make the demand that is required of them. For instance, if you go to a race, and of course, what you need to actually win the race is a faster speed, right? Regardless of who owns, the track, regardless of who makes the rules, if you run faster, you would win the race. So, if you tie it down to the performance of the current, appointed ministers, and commissioners of the FCT, I would say specifically that this has been something that has happened several times. Whenever there is a new member of the Federal Executive Council appointed by the president who works, and is domiciled in Abuja for about 4 to 8 years, they try to do, a lot of inclusion policies, trying to bring people out of it. But here's the thing. When we talk about the original inhabitants of, an area, we should also include people who have also become original inhabitants at some point. FCT will become the largest city in Africa, like it or not, and the definition of what we call original inhabitants would actually change. There are people who have been here since 1940, perhaps moved in from Kano, and they live here now. They have their grandchildren and their great-grandchildren, buried all their parents and siblings here. They are also original inhabitants. So marginalization is not something that is static, it is dynamic. And every time you have to call for, make a call about marginalization, you should also make a call that is specific to a policy you want to see. What exactly are we talking about? Are we talking about more political offices? One of the things I agree with is that FCT, one of the cries that I agree with is that FCT actually requires a state legislative chamber, a state legislative house, because the issues surrounding the FCT actually isn't simply in Amak or in the urban areas. There are actually villages that have specific issues that can actually be, adjudicated or, looked at the state level. But we don't have that. So a lot of power is domiciled in the Amak or the area council chairman. Now, when we're talking about participation, everybody is actually free to participate. There must never come a time when political power is relegated or it is fixed on a group of people. At that point, you don't have a democracy anymore, especially in a place like Abuja, where people contribute and, of course, live and, decide to actually remain here for the rest of their lives. That now becomes a question of political will, negotiation, and political power. So I would say that the minister has actually done pretty well, in my opinion, in actually carrying us as well, along in terms of the development, in terms of appointments, in terms of even, creating avenues for people to participate in politics. The current chairman of the Abuja Municipal Area Council recently moved from his political party to the APC. I think that was in February. And, that caused a little uproar. But at the same time, we can actually see what is going on. The ruling party is attracting these individuals so that they can actually retain their ticket and, of course, seek a better place to retain their power. And that is what I talk about negotiation. You can't cry when you're not negotiating.
Abuja has been known to be a seat for the People's Democratic Party and that of the Labour Party. But with some of the cross-carpeting that we're seeing right now, even from the AMAC chairman, like you've mentioned, can we now say that Abuja is tilting towards becoming an all-progressive capital, or we should begin to look at other political parties that can also pull the strings?
The funny thing is that, Abuja, FCT, or even AMAC and Buhari, if you may, the voting pattern mirrors national sentiment, because quite a lot of people actually come here, and then they come here with all sorts of sentiments. So when you take a sample size of what people think around Abuja, in the metropolitan areas, you would actually begin to see what people are thinking across Nigeria is pretty similar. So we're talking about political parties. I'd like to quickly add, just to buttress or to see how we can make your point a little clearer. Labour Party has actually never been a strong force in FCT. Labour Party became a name simply because of the presidential candidate at the time. So I wouldn't say that was a fluke. I would say that was a vehicle that was purposeful at the period of time. However, for you to say you own a city politically, for you to say you actually dominated an environment, you must be able to elect the lowest level of people into office, and that's councillors. PDP has done that in Abuja for about 20 or so years. ANPP has done that, and now APC has also been able to do that as well across areas like Kwali, Abaji, and so on and so forth. So Labour Party is actually a non-issue in this particular situation because it is top-heavy. It has always been top-heavy. It has always been about who is running for president, and that has actually changed, and that's the reason why you have seen an increase in the participation of more political parties. The upcoming area council election is going to be hotly contested, partly, in part, due to what you just mentioned, which is that a lot of people have actually begun to see that there are things that are possible, given the outcome of the 2023 election, when an incumbent senator was actually removed by somebody who was not very popular and who is now a senator in the FCT. And of course, the member of the House of Rep currently is somebody from the Southeast who is doing pretty well as well, just like the senator. And these are bringing up all sorts of possibilities, and it's going to proliferate down onto the area council level. So the voting pattern is not going to be what we expect. There's going to be a lot of different people voting for different kinds of individuals. It's not going to be political parties versus political parties. It's going to be candidate versus candidate, depending or regardless of where the candidate is coming from. People wouldn't mind voting for any kind of party as long as the person there is someone they like. So you're saying the pendulum is not shifting; it's going to be individual based. Absolutely, as it were. Absolutely. So what then happens if the individuals are supposed to represent or be given the mandate to even contest in these elections are not given that mandate from their political party? What then happens? What plays out? Well, in fact, this is a question that would have been very relevant before June, because the windows for primary elections are actually closed. Closed on June 30th. INEC has even shut down the portal for uploading of names from political parties. So whoever would get the ticket has already gotten it. Whoever wouldn't get it has to just work with his party or cross carpet and see how to get back at the party that didn't give him a ticket. When you don't get the right candidate, in your preferred political party, or when you run for office and you don't pick the ticket to represent your people with your ideology, it's always a difficult thing. But the most important thing to remember is that parties have ideologies. Parties are supposed to have ideologies. So, of course, if you don't get what you are looking for, you should be able to partner with somebody else who has your similar ideology, or you should be able to go somewhere else that accepts your ideology and, of course, run on that platform if it is possible, if the Electoral Act allows it in your situation. However, people are tired, of basically doing, a blanket party kind of participation. People want to see individuals that they trust, individuals that relate with them or understand their ideas. You might be shocked that in the coming area council elections, there's going to be, a very close margin. It's not going to be something that somebody wins by a landslide. It's going to be a lot of people. FCT has over 3 million residents. The current AMAC chairman was elected by less than 20,000 people. That tells you that the representatives we have at the local government level were elected by a fraction. And there are people in the AMAC legislative chambers, the local government, local area council legislative chambers that are making bylaws on behalf of all these 3 million people. So you are being, governed by people you didn't vote for. And people understand that now. People understand that now, especially in this period where things are really difficult and, all these levies are still coming up. Sometimes you are driving and you're finding out that it's just a lot of new levies every day. So many times, individuals are going to win this election. And of course, remember that Abuja has always been an opposition place where no matter how big or mighty you are, there are people who are waiting for you at the finish line just to show you and deal with you and tell you that you are nobody.
All right, so I asked that particular question in order to ask. We've seen what has played out in June, where a lot of indigenes